Alright, Shalom. First of all, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith. And Shalom to all the sincere believers. Now, this lesson is going to be based on the earthquake swarm that hit South Carolina. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and the words will you edify. It says South Carolina blasted 7 times by earthquake swarm. So residents across parts of the South Carolina Piedmont were jolted overnight Friday after a swarm of small earthquakes rattled the region, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Most of the shaking was centered in Greenwood County, which sits between Columbia and Greenville, just east of the Savannah River. The USGS reported at least 7 measurable earthquakes occurred after midnight on Saturday, with magnitudes ranging from 1.8 to 3.0. The National Weather Service office in the Greenville-Spartanburg area asked residents on social media whether they felt any of the tremors. Several people from Greenwood County responded that the jolts were strong enough to wake them up and even knock over small objects such as photos. Due to the activity's shallow nature, loud booms were also reported, which experts have previously said is a result of a quake's vibrations reaching the surface. Local authorities did not report any damage associated with the shaking, which is common during weaker intensity events on the moment magnitude scale. The Palmetto State is considered one of the most seismically active areas along the East Coast. According to the South Carolina Emergency Management Division, the state typically experiences between 10 and 15 earthquakes each year, with only a handful significant enough to be felt or cause damage. The state is home to many fault lines, with a majority of the activity occurring in what is known to seismologists as the Middleton Place-Somerville seismic zone. Experts say that because the faults occur inside the North American plate rather than at a plate boundary, most of the shaking is typically limited, but that has not prevented magnitude shaking in excess of 7.0 from impacting the state. In 1886, Charleston and the surrounding low country were rocked by what seismologists estimate to have been a 7.0 to a 7.3 magnitude earthquake. The catastrophic event damaged or destroyed more than 2,000 buildings, toppled church steeples, cracked foundations, and claimed dozens of lives. Emergency managers say if another similar major earthquake were to strike modern-day South Carolina, the event could have damaging consequences given the state's growing population and aging infrastructure. Yeah, best believe that's more than likely going to happen because we are in the last days. So the Lord running back a major judgment like that would not surprise those of us of the hopeful elect, and it wouldn't surprise these meteorologists or these seismologists either. The only people that it would surprise are the simple people who aren't even paying attention. Isaiah 29:6, Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And the Lord has been visiting with a lot of earthquakes lately. And if you notice, it wasn't just one earthquake. They got hit with 7 of them. Now, they weren't major earthquakes, but still getting hit with 7 earthquakes is still, still a pretty serious thing, regardless of what the magnitudes are. And that in itself is a sign of the time. The Lord sending earthquakes, more consecutively. Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And when you look up the definition of diverse, it means many or multiple. And there have been earthquakes and continue to be earthquakes in many and in multiple places all over the world. Some more intense and more destructive and deadly than others. But nonetheless, they still happen, and they are still a sign of the times. 2 Ezra 9:1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass which I have told thee before. Verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Verse 3, therefore when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which there clearly are plenty of both of those events taking place, earthquakes and uproars of the people in the form of protests all over the world because of, the wickedness that's taking place in these different countries. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world at the beginning is end, and the end is manifest. Verse 6, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder, and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And these earthquake swarms, are powerful works of the Heavenly Father. And they are a sign of the times. They're a sign that things are getting worse, just as the men of the Lord have been saying that they would. And the men of the Lord are still sending out warnings, letting people know, like, hey, the things that the world is experiencing, it's only going to get worse. The monsoons, the tropical storms, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the earthquake swarms, the volcano eruptions, the torrential rainstorms, the flash floodings, the lightning storms. These things are only going to get worse. They're going to get more intense. They're going to happen more frequently. But a lot of people just don't want to listen. Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And those of us of the hopeful elect, we're the prudent. We are the wise through the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And we're able to foresee the evil. That's why we're able to send out the warnings, because we know what to expect in these last days. But these simple people, they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it. Because that would just be yet another thing that they have to think about. Something that's not entertaining for them. Something that's not fun for them. All these people want to do is participate in folly. They don't want to have to take anything seriously. And that lack of taking things seriously is going to lead to a lot more people getting destroyed because they're not trying to prepare themselves for what's coming. A lot of people are putting their faith in the government. They're putting their faith in the president, they're putting their faith in the National Guard, they're putting their faith in the police force and in the firefighters. And, they have their little shelters where they're like, oh yeah, if anything happens, I'll just go to my little shelter or my little bunker and I'll be fine. They don't understand that when it comes to the power of the Lord, you can't jump to the conclusion that you'll always be fine. Especially if you're on the wrong side of the Lord. If you're one of those people that have made him angry, the chances of you being safe is 0. Yeah, 144 as well. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think that their carnal measures are going to protect them. And that's just not the case. It has never been the case. As I've said many times before, your carnal bunker, your carnal shelter cannot protect you from the Lord's wrath. The police, the firefighters, the doctors, the National Guard, the president, the governors, the mayors, they can't protect you either, because they can't even protect themselves from the wrath of the Lord. The scriptures even tell us that in Psalms 118 and 8, that it is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. See, those of us of the hopeful elect, we trust that the Lord is going to protect us in these perilous times. Meanwhile, these simple people, they trust that man is going to be able to protect them. And the Lord, through his judgments, is going to prove that there's nothing that man can do against his power. So all of these people who are putting their trust, in their mayors, in their governors, in the president to be able to protect them in the event of, what they would consider a natural disaster, all those people are about to get a very rude awakening. And we've been seeing that happen. These tornadoes that have been devastating certain areas, flash floods, wildfires, all the destruction and even death that are caused from these events that nobody can prevent because it comes from the Lord. Like it says in Psalms 9 and 16, the Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executed. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands, Higgaion Selah. So, the fires, the earthquakes, the storms and tempests, those are the judgments of the Heavenly Father. They're not natural disasters, that has nothing to do with Mother Nature or climate change or global warming. It has to do with the power and the wrath of the Lord being put on display. And the people who are mainly being affected by it are the people with whom the Lord is angry with. Because like it says in Psalm 7 and 11, Yahweh judgeth the righteous, and Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. And that's why every day judgments take place. And people, they get wounded, people get killed, people, they, their home might get destroyed, or, if they have a business, that might get destroyed in these judgments. Because that's the anger of the Lord. Like it says in Isaiah 48:22, there is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh, unto the wicked. So whoever the Lord is angry with, they're not going to experience peace in their life. The Lord is just going to continue to pile on the judgments. Like it says in 2 Ezra 8:50, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. And here in America, there's a lot of proud people. A lot of very proud, very simple, very wicked people. And the Lord is about to bring some heavy judgments upon them. Judgments that they're not going to see coming because they're not even paying attention. But those of us of the hopeful elect, we see it coming. Because the Lord has put a prudent, wise, circumspect spirit on us. And Thawadi How Bashim Yahushai for that. And in these last days, the Lord is going to continue to show who He is dealing with and who He is not dealing with. And Adawan Ratazah, myself, and all you sincere brothers and sisters, and your loved ones have been chosen from the foundation of the world to endure unto the end and be saved. Because that destruction is coming. But before that ultimate destruction comes, there's going to be a lot of, comparatively smaller judgments. But they're going to be destructive and intense and deadly nonetheless. So just, make sure that you stay Salakia. Make sure that you stay locked in, prayed up, circumspect. Make sure you continue to read and watch brothers' videos and just stay up to date as best as you can as to what's going on in the world, because it's going to get increasingly more chaotic. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakudash, the Wadi How Bahashim Yahushai, putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Honors to our brothers who are still firmly pushing the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. And Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, Shalom.